All right, welcome back. Yes, as I did tell you, that's Honorable Philip Agbasa. He's here with us. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
It's a pleasure.
So before we get into this bill, quickly, we heard the governor's press conference about the meetings in Benue. There was supposed to be a meeting this morning, but what's going on? Are you going to attend any meeting? There seems to be a lot of confusion about what's happening.
Well, I thought I was here.
I thought so too.
On a very serious issue. But since you've asked, I think it is good that I say something about that. The state chairman of the party, Comrade Austin Agada, had fixed a meeting for today. And you cannot be governor and state chairman at the same time. But His Excellency, Father Alia, is still missing a point, probably because of his background and where he's coming from. He feels that he can, be governor at the same time with the state chairman and another point, every other thing together. Well, I think Comrade Austin Agada has called off that meeting. I'm not aware if he has addressed any press conference at the moment, but if he has, because he has this
that happened
NGO. Last night, yeah. He has this NGO which he's using, to just oppose as an organ of the party. I mean, His Excellency, Father Alia. But I think just by the way, so maybe another time I will get to discuss that.
Let's get to this bill. What in the world was going on? Why was it introduced in the first place? Because the wordings, when people saw it, they thought, people actually sat down, thought about this, drafted it. It became a bill. They're about to present it until, according to the statement, the reactions that came through, then the speaker pulled back.
Yes, we cannot shy away from the fact that, yes, as beautiful as our democracy is as a country, we've also had some elements, non-state actors who have taken advantage of the law, of certain freedoms encapsulated in our books, to carry out activities that tend to undermine the Nigerian state. The bill was not actually intended, like it was rightly, put together, worded, to serve as an instrument to cage the citizens. It is actually in the interest. Nevertheless, a man wakes up in the morning a woman wakes up in the morning to prepare food for the children, and they say, today we are not hungry. We don't want any food. And Mr. Speaker, in his wisdom, has done the needful.
So this was supposed to be food. Okay, let's take a look at some of the wordings of this bill and see. You said that it was well intended. So let's see if we could get some insights or understanding in terms of the intendment of the bill, some of the objectives there. If you could just focus on that a little closer so that you can also, you're in the house, you should have seen this bill. So if you look at this provision, guys, does this, look at the objectives, provide for a legal and institutional framework to detect, prevent, investigate, criminalize, prosecute and sanction subversive and related activities, and B, regulate the procedure and determine the manner in which the provisions of this act shall be carried out. But there are some penalties which were also highlighted. They thought it was rather given. But looking at the intendment of this bill, some thought this was clearly going to strangulate people who have several freedom of expression, association, and this was really not going to definitely go well for the country.
No, you see, we have taken time to look at the criticism or the comments that followed the introduction of this bill. And even if we want to step aside the fact that His Excellency Mr. Speaker has withdrawn the bill,
Hope it's not going to be introduced at a later date.
No, it is at the discretion of the sponsor of the bill. Yeah, because in a democracy, for instance, some of the comments that have been passed, some persons have said the aspect that deals with people's freedom, that's free people's freedom, legitimate citizens who intend to go about their businesses and livelihood the way it should be done in a democratic setting, should ordinarily not have any fear. Of course, our democracy is a product of free speech. If people are not allowed to make contribution, and the 10th House of Representatives under the leadership of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, we operate an open parliament, and we have continued to encourage Nigerians to come forward with their suggestions and input. Some other persons are equally talking about timing. Yeah, if you look at the criticism, some people are talking about the timing.
Look at this, help us explain this. Pardon me to jump in. It says, some of the provisions. A person who engages in activities that result to mutual suspicion, I don't wonder how to determine that, mistrust, distrust, or intolerance, which degenerates into conflict and violence that threatens the corporate existence, peace, and security of the Federation of Nigeria, commits an offense and is liable to conviction to a fine of 5 million or imprisonment for a term of 10 years or
yes, you see that aspect of the bill. That aspect of the bill targets, criminal elements, bandits, groups that do not mean well for the sustenance of our democracy. Again, His Excellency, Mr. Speaker, has done the needful. He has withdrawn this document. And you see, the People's House, we have done quite a lot, in terms of supporting public debate, public opinion, freedom of speech, expression of young Nigerians to participate, in our legislative activities. So I think what we have learned from the introduction of this bill and the withdrawal of the bill, and from the feelers that we have gotten from Nigerians, is that yes, they are still satisfied, they are still happy that for the first time we are having a parliament that listens to the yearnings and aspirations of the people.
For the first time?
Yes, that we have a parliament.
The President's Chief of Staff will have something to say about that. But let us...
Yeah, because
you said for the first time, and I know he used to be Speaker, and every house, before this one will claim that they too have listened to the people. And you say for the first time, you have a Speaker or you have a house that is listening to the people. But it is interesting that you're listening to the people, even though the ideas that you have were never people-centric. Take a look at this particular one. I do not know if in the drafting of this bill, the drafters were aware that there are people who, owing to their faith, their religion, do not sing the national anthem. It's their faith. And it falls right under the freedom of speech. I mean, if you're singing the national anthem, they will stand up, but they don't sing because of their religion. I don't know whether that's because I see here an attempt to criminalize that. It says the bill also provides that the person who destroys national symbols refuses to recite the national anthem and pledge. And this is in a situation whereby our national anthem has just been recently changed in a manner that people have complained about and are protesting on, there are people who are still protesting about that, about how that national anthem was changed. Then you go and put something like this to criminalize it. I mean, what were we thinking?
My sister, I was born a Christian, but I practice African traditional religion and I promote it. And I know very well that my friends who are Muslims do not in any way feel by virtue of their religious belief that nobody at any point in time should not observe some of these national symbols. When we go to church, we're encouraged, to obey the law of the land. And for the national anthem, it has come to be for what it is at the moment. You cannot change it except another bill is reintroduced in the parliament and something is done about it.
Yeah, but people can protest. I mean, they have the right to say, well, I do not recognize, I'm not happy in the manner it was changed, and as such, I would not sing it.
No, you see, yes, we have our opinion, but once it has become a law, it rests at that. For instance, some people do not like the new Naira note, but that has not stopped them from spending the new Naira note. You may not like the color of the national flag, but once it is adopted as the flag of your country, some of us are not fans of green.
The new national flag?
No, I mean the national flag.
The flag was never changed.
No, what I'm saying is this. You may not like green or white, but today that is the national flag and that is the color. And that is what the law says it is. So you must obey what the law says it is.
Our laws, I mean, the way we make laws have been prescribed through a process. And if some of these processes are not observed in terms of how the laws come about, don't the people have a right to complain about them?
No, you have the right to complain, and there are also legal frameworks that are already established when a citizen has complaints against laws. So it is either you go to court to challenge the law, or you come back to the parliament, which is a lawmaking body, to sponsor a private bill. I understand that some young Nigerians are equally proposing a new national anthem, something totally different from the old new national anthem, the one that was just left behind. I think also in this studio, a friend of mine has equally suggested using Timi Dakolo's song as a new national anthem. But there are procedures for doing these things. You have to send them, you route them through the parliament.
I'm saying that, you know, I mean, that's one instance. People who are still aggrieved about how that national anthem was, that's one kettle of fish. Another kettle of fish, which has been for many years, and these people that I refer to, they are law-abiding citizens. They pay their taxes, they contribute positively to the economy, but a part of their own faith preaches that they do not sing the national anthem of any country. They are an international group. They are all over many, many countries. They're citizens of many, many countries, but they do not sing national anthem of any country.
Well, the three religions
are you aware of that?
Yeah, the three religions that we have in Nigeria today, we have not seen any injunction or any doctrine that promotes disobedience to national symbols.
It's not a disobedience. They just simply don't sing it.
Well,
and they have a right to keep quiet, don't they?
Well, you may have a right to keep quiet, but you may not have an absolute right to remain seated while others are standing.
Yeah, they don't sit. I have said that they do not sit, but they do not sing it. So when you say something like they refuse, because it doesn't say here that they refuse to stand up when the national, it says refuses to recite the national anthem and pledge. Are you aware of that?
Well, the part of the criticism that we have articulated, we have looked at before the withdrawal, we actually didn't see that. And again, you see, even if this was allowed to go through the second reading, parliamentarians were going to put up their argument for and against the bill. Nigerians have elected us to do that on their behalf.
In the manner in which a lot of bills have been passed through the House in recent times, people doubt very strongly that that would have happened. No, yes, because even nowadays we have been told that public hearings do not matter. The House can pass it however it chooses to pass it. That's what we have been told.
No. But Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas is a promoter of public debates. Aside public debates within the Parliament, the 10th House of Representatives, we have equally engaged town hall meetings to engage citizens.
Yeah, we engage town hall meetings and everything apart from the national anthem, which everybody is supposed to sing and everybody is supposed to own. Isn't that correct?
That it didn't go through public hearing?
There was no public hearing for that.
Was there?
You see, like I have mentioned this earlier before.
Yes or no first, was there a public hearing for the national anthem?
There was an emergency public hearing.
Emergency?
Yes.
There was no public hearing, Honorable Agbese.
You were probably not invited or you didn't attend. There was
for something as important as a change of a national anthem. The press wasn't aware, media wasn't aware, the people weren't aware. Who were the people who attended that public hearing?
I think we've debated this before. It actually passed through the right procedure. And we are saying we're still open, to say that even that we have done this, it has become a law. We are still open to receive bills and debates from Nigerians, how to make changes to that, because it's a continuum. That's the beauty of democracy.
What can you say is the lesson that the House of Representatives has learned from the feedback you got from the instance that she's citing? A number of issues that I want to raise, but what are some of the things that you say the House of Representatives in particular has learned from the feedback you've gotten from the process and the criticisms that followed the procedure in which the national anthem was introduced?
Yes, we as a parliament have continued to say that, yes, we want to serve the interests of the people. It means that the lesson from that is that there's still more room for further engagement. Like what happened yesterday with the withdrawal of this bill, yes, it shows clearly that more Nigerians are also interested in the activities of the parliament.
But there was an outcry again, my apologies, there was an outcry by Nigerians about the new national anthem. How come there was no response, no similar reaction of the House of Representatives to that particular process?
No, you see, like the national anthem, the criticism were not that there was anything wrong with the change. People were just complaining that, we are already used to something and we are changing.
No, that's not the criticism. The criticism that people came up with, we don't mind this national anthem because a good number of people have been used to it for a long time.
Yes.
The problem is you sprung it on them like a surprise, and they were supposed to take it whether they liked it or not.
No, you see, before that point, there were other legislative activities that members had engaged. We debated it.
But then these members, did they take these issues to their constituents?
Yes, you see, our representative function as a parliament is that you are in constant communication with your constituents. Like myself, many members are in so many WhatsApp groups where they have daily engagement.
I thought the House, they don't want unauthorized WhatsApp groups.
Yes, the House.
No, unauthorized WhatsApp groups created by members to create confusion within the House.
How do you determine which is going to create confusion?
No, because the Bible says that by their fruit you shall know them. When they start the agenda...
You said you practice something else, not... You do use the Bible in...
But I've told you earlier that I was born into a Christian family. And, we put this
Honorable, that's understood. Let's go back to the issue of this. I'm looking at... First of all, let me ask you, do you use technology in the process of lawmaking?
Yes.
How?
Part of our legislative instrument now, part of our legislative agenda in the 10th Assembly is to deploy technology to get feedback from our constituents.
Do you use feedback in the process? Do you use technology in the process of writing the bills?
No, you see, bills are sponsored by members. And people who sponsor bills have their inspiration. They have their driving force. They have their philosophy. They have the things that they intend to achieve.
Okay.
So when they bring these bills together, right, when an individual member puts a bill together, it is left for that bill to go through the parliamentary processes.
Okay. There is one that is very, very well used by everybody.
Okay.
It's called ChatGPT.
Okay.
I copied your bill.
Okay.
And asked ChatGPT if we have similar laws. And it gave me 7 such. Number 1, Criminal Code Act of 2004, Penal Code, Terrorism Prevention Act, Public Order Act, Cyber Crimes Prohibition and Prevention Act, National Security Agencies Act, and it also mentions that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria includes provisions that protect the sovereignty of Nigeria. And I asked ChatGPT, do we need this law if we already have this one? So the only thing different between this counter-subversion bill that's been pulled down and the previous laws, just penalties. Couldn't we have adjusted all these laws that have been mentioned by ChatGPT to just penalize, and then we are not just, everyone still runs foul of whichever of these laws anyway?
Yeah, you have a very good point there. Again, if the critics of this bill had allowed the bill to skate through and get to the point where public debate, public opinion, and public contributions became necessary, we would have gotten to that point where people like you and other members of the civil society would have approached the parliament with these beautiful suggestions. That is the essence of public hearing. It gives the public the opportunity to come in and make inputs.
You know what's interesting, Honorable? My apologies, Chairman. You know what is interesting? When we employed you, and I always use this term of employment and not election, when Nigerians employed parliamentarians, they expect that they know better than they do. So if a law has to be pulled down because of my contribution, then it means that I could do a better job than you, and then I don't need you to be employed to do the job for me. That would be the ordinary position of an average Nigerian, don't you think?
You see, the parliament is not like a clinic where you are employed either as a doctor or as a nurse for specific function. The process of electing people into the parliament, in a democracy, encapsulates a system where all shades of characters, in what we describe as the beauty of democracy. You go to some constituencies, you see a hunter standing an election against a medical doctor, and by virtue of character, the people tell you, we prefer the hunter to the medical doctor. That, again, we hold public hearing does not necessarily mean members of the parliament in the first instance didn't know what they were elected to do. It is what the law says that it is, that at every point in time, in terms of bills, that we should allow for inputs of members of the society.
All right.
And we do that to further deepen democracy, to further engage with people, not necessarily. For instance, if a segment of the society feels that a candidate is not good enough, but the majority who feel that the candidate is better have voted him, and we are saying that that elected member or the employee's opinion now supersede, it means you are equally, shutting the access to freedom of expression to people who ordinarily should participate. That's the essence of public hearing.
When we also did look through all of this, last time we were wondering, so having seen that and several other provisions, the question was then, look, so what exactly was the Speaker trying to correct? What ill were they trying to correct with this bill?
Ayo has answered that question when he brought out the submission from
Ayo was not the one.
In the old laws, that the only difference between this one and the old law is the question of penalty. Nevertheless,
so the Speaker wanted to penalize people?
No, it's not about penalizing people. It is about a democratic...
So that's the objective?
No, you see, the objective of... It doesn't matter the way we see it, but the objective of every law in a sane society is to make society better, is to, enthrone a better democratic culture, a better democratic society. Today, it's very easy to say that these are the set of people that the law is going to protect. Nobody is going to be in the parliament forever. You go there for a period of time. Some of the people who are critics today were in the parliament even just a year ago.
Part of what I highlighted was, because if you say, well, he's highlighted it, the only difference was the penalties. This is part of what several people also talk about. If they notice that there's a disconnect in society and they're trying to bring in laws to correct them, I know we would ask you, you'll say, yeah, we always talk to constituencies on a regular basis, but clearly there seems to be that gap in terms of that connection. What do people really want? What will make that impact? Because the question would be, if that had been properly done, it won't get to this stage where you have to withdraw the bill. If you always tell us that you consult your constituencies, you would have gotten this time from the get-go.
You see, the bill was just at the first reading. It had just passed first reading.
No, I'm talking about before even getting to reading stage at all.
No. You see, parliamentarians, aside our parliamentary privileges, in a democracy, people are allowed to express their views and bring forward their suggestions that they think would help to make a better society. The bill sponsored by the Speaker was his own suggestion. He didn't become a law because the Speaker presented it. It came to the Parliament. It was still going to come for second reading where members of Parliament will make contributions.
Well, part of what I'm saying is, it's not that they won't make contributions. They always will when it gets to the floor. Sometimes it could be emergency, it could be accelerated, as long as the gavel hits and it passes. But what I'm asking is, look, this is a bill coming from no less person than the Speaker, with several legislative aids that they've got. So a thorough job was expected to have been done before even this gets to this stage. Then you talk about, withdrawing this bill. Because if they had put in the work behind the scenes, you'd have seen all of these highlights. And look, this is just a similar narrative. The only difference, as you highlighted, is the penalty.
You see, aside, Mr. Speaker, today, by privilege being the Speaker of the Parliament and the leader of the House, which is at one end. The other end, his disposition to the issues of good governance, as I have witnessed as a member of the 3rd Assembly, is top-notch. Yeah, he has demonstrated, in countless ways that he means well, for the citizens of this country. And again, he also has that residual power as a member representing a specific constituency. For instance, my constituents besiege me on a daily basis with bills that they feel, if sponsored by me as their representative, will help to better the country. So that a certain segment has criticized the bill.
Segment?
Yes. Does not mean...
What do you mean segment?
Because not everybody... It doesn't mean that because some persons have criticized the bill, it doesn't mean that the bill on its own does not have people who are promoting it. But we have rested that, with the decision of the Speaker to withdraw the bill. Clearly showing that this man listens to public opinion.
Honorable, one of the issues that Chamberlain raised, my apologies, one of the issues that Chamberlain raised is that disconnect. And the only one of the major ways, just a second, one way in which many people, and we have raised the issue on this program several times, is the trust deficit is increasingly being breached because of lack of communication. And I'm not just talking about giving out information. I'm not just talking about responding to questions from journalists. I'm talking about sincere engagement, sustained engagement between the Parliament, Senate or House of Representatives, and the people. It does not exist. And as a result, there will be mutual distrust. There will be that position where people will say, these people are just doing what they like, and as Michael Jackson sang, they don't even care about us.
No, we do. The 10th House of Representatives under the leadership of His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas does. And to demonstrate that is why we have introduced extraordinary legislative instruments, to engage the people. Just before the recent protests, we had a meeting in the Parliament where we had over 200 civil society organizations, NGOs, faith-based organizations invited to the Parliament, young Nigerians, the National Association of Nigerian Students, and a couple of other organizations. We engaged them, discussed the issue of good governance with them. We also had recently the Open Parliament Day, where various committees had to address Nigerians, address their questions. So today the Parliament is widely open to all Nigerians. And that is what we have achieved in the last 1 year. Nevertheless, there's still a lot to be done because it's a big country. And we understand that. We accept that we will still do more. And Mr. Speaker has said, the moment we return back from the recess, we will double our effort. Because we know that we're here for a short period of time, and we want to see to a better Nigeria in our own time.
What does double your effort mean?
Yes. Well, what it means in essence is that if within the last 1 year, our oversight functions, for instance, the Committee on Works, if they were able to look at 10 road constructions in the country, Mr. Speaker expects them, to do more by visiting more roads to ensure that, yes, of course, what the executive claim to be doing, they are actually on track. That our committees, special committees on investigation also carry out their duties as transparent as possible, as open as possible, and they do so by submitting reports timely. Another good example is the Constitutional Review Committee. Every assembly will come up with this issue of Constitutional Review Committee, and they go up, across the world, around the country, discussing the issue of Constitutional Review. But what we have done this time, Mr. Speaker has given a 2-year timeline to the Parliament. To say we are not going to wait until the last day of the Parliament before we conclude the issue of constitutional debate. Within a period of 2 years, he wants to see, and that is why that committee is engaging with critical stakeholders. They had a meeting recently in Lagos where heads of courts in Nigeria were invited, the judges were invited to be part of the process of amending the constitution from the beginning. So they guide the committee, so you don't make laws that become cumbersome for the courts at the end of the day to interpret. So these are some of the things that we are doing.
I'm glad that you mentioned two things. You mentioned oversight, and you also mentioned constitution review. I mean, as part of the areas where we should be saying, a redoubling of efforts.
Yes.
In recent times, we've seen departments and agencies complain that when members of the National Assembly go or come for oversight at the different ministries, departments, and agencies, they are made to bear the cost of the oversight of members coming in terms of their welfare, in terms of transport sometimes, in terms of accommodation, etc. These are things that they believe provisions have already been made for by the House of Representatives. Still, it would appear that the agencies are made to bear the burden. Is this a situation you are aware of?
I will give you a very good example. The House Committee on Foreign Affairs is planning a tour of our missions abroad. The House Committee on Foreign Affairs is planning to visit some of our foreign missions to see what is going on. You know, complaints by Nigerians that in some of the embassies abroad, when they go, they can't get passports, they are not being properly attended to. And I will tell you for free what that committee is doing. The committee is raising the resources to be able to get tickets from members of the committee.
How many embassies are they planning to visit? All of them? We have a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot
of money.
They are trying to do that on their own. That's what I'm saying. And that's what makes this parliament different. Like some of these issues you have mentioned, since I came into the parliament, I've not experienced them. Because we have visited some agencies in committees where I'm a member, and I know that we took the pain as a parliament to make provision for our accommodation. We have visited some agencies. I know that we visited Nimasa in Lagos. We all managed to get our air tickets.
So this is completely strange to you, this particular, because I'm not making this up. This is something that we as journalists have received as complaints from members who people these agencies, that oftentimes they are made to bear the burden. And it's not 1, 2, 3 members. You have members as many as 25 in some instances who come and perform this oversight. And the agencies have to bear the burden. I don't know about flight tickets, but they speak about hotels. The agencies are made to bear the burden of the hotels. Is this something you are aware of?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware of it?
Because even in the civil society...
It's strange?
Yes, it's strange. Because even when I was in the civil society, I didn't hear this. But now that you have mentioned this, I'm going to take it back to the
So you're hearing it for the first time from me?
Yes, I'm hearing it for the first time. So I'm going to take it back from you to Mr. Speaker. And as a matter of fact, it is something I'm interested in. I want to see a situation where either we sponsor a bill to make sure that when members are going on oversight, the parliament caters for that. But I understand very well that some of the local trips, for the parliament that I have a backed on, have been paid by the parliament.
So you were not in the country during the Hema Hembe saga?
I was actually in the country.
You didn't hear about it then?
I think the matter was in court.
Interestingly, Honorable Hema Hembe is from Benue State, isn't that correct?
Yeah, but we're from 2 different constituencies.
But he's from Benue State.
Yeah, he's from Benue.
Okay, you heard his name at that time, but you didn't know what that issue was.
I didn't know, because you see one thing, quite a lot that some of us heard about the parliament that motivated us to want to go into the parliament. We are now in the parliament and we can't find those things.
In other words, they were cooking them up?
Yes.
They were cooked up?
Quite a lot.
An allegation as grievous as that on live TV was cooked up?
No, you see that issue between Hembe and Aruma Ote, I think it's still in court. The court has not, or whether Hembe has been discharged and acquitted, I'm not fully aware of the details.
So you heard about it then?
I heard about it, but I know it went to court. I don't know if, because the man is not in prison. If he's not in prison, it means that he has been discharged and acquitted.
Okay,
and
so
irrespective of whatever the offense that the allegations made by that person.
I think the point that my colleague makes with highlighting that is that this is not the first time such a thing is being said, that parastatals and agencies bear the burden of members who come to oversight them, and that when they do not, that was what happened in the Aruma Ote case. When it's not borne by them, then they are witch hunted. They are blackmailed, and you might find all manner of things. These are the allegations, and it's as far back as that time.
Yes, you see, when we came on board as a parliament in the 10th House of Representatives, we identified some of these issues. The issues that created the trust deficit between, the parliament and the executive. And I can tell you that some of these things are already in the past, because with the 10th House of Representatives under the leadership of Tajuddin Abbas, we've done quite a lot to carry out in-house cleansing and to sanitize the system. So that's why today I can authoritatively confirm to you that members who go on oversight go there strictly to carry out the activities and they return back to the parliament.
So, about this oversight,
to present reports.
Is it not possible that these members of the Foreign Affairs Committee,
yes.
Why do they have to? Because there are lots of embassies that they're going to have to travel to. Travel tickets is going to be in millions. So would it be out of place if they look at what is it you want to do exactly, identify which are those officers responsible to answer the questions, invite them over to the country? Because if you want to travel to 20 countries, that's a lot of money.
No, you see, this is one thing about the current House. It's not just when you see bills in the House that we react to. Not just what happened yesterday. You agree with me that under the current leadership of this current speaker, we are doing quite a lot. For instance, what necessitated the decision by that committee, to travel or planning to travel is complaints by Nigerians. And we are here to serve them. So if the man who has employed you feels there are certain issues that require your attention, you must make provision, to give them that sense of belonging and to listen to them.
Do they have to travel to listen to the people?
No.
They cannot invite the high commissioners, the ambassadors to the country
that too is,
answer those questions?
No, that too is also ongoing. There are some countries where we don't have missions. When Nigerians abroad in diaspora have been complaining, there's a need for us to meet them.
They're complaining about the missions that we don't have. I don't get it.
Yeah, that we don't have missions. They have needs that there's no embassy to attend to them and other issues.
So they want to go and attend to those people there?
You see, let me tell you something. One unique thing about this parliament, every issue raised either as a debate on the floor of the House or as public petition by Nigerians, we attend to them. And in an attempt to attend to them, there are strategies to carry out these things.
Let me quickly raise this other issue, because you talked about constitution review. The Patriots, a group led by a very distinguished gentleman, I'm sure you know him, elder statesman, Chifemeka Anyoku, recently visited the president, and they were talking about a brand new constitution. And that has been in the air for quite a long time. Is it something that the House is considering?
Well, what we are doing in the House is an amendment. An amendment to a large extent or to some people may look like a brand new constitution. But
to those who are amending it.
Yes, to those who are amending it, or for those who feel there are certain areas actually require amendment. So what we are doing as a parliament is to give room. The Constitutional Review Committee is also going to invite the Patriots to send in their input.
Well, all they have asked is that, the current amendment should include an amendment to see how a new constitution can be made and a referendum taken. That's what they have been asking for. And not just the Patriots, and this is something that has been on for years. You were here at least when the 2014 National Conference took place, and all the agitations before that time. We see over and over again. Is this something that the People's House is concerned enough about?
Yes, we are interested in having a working document called a constitution that Nigerians will be happy to call their own. And that is why we are inviting everyone. We are going to invite the Patriots. We are going to invite every segment, like we have already commenced. To bring in, we'll receive a memorandum from people. We are considering them. We are looking at them. Very soon, the committee is going to be having an engagement with the Nigerian youth on their input into the constitution. The last one we had was in Lagos, where we interacted with heads of court. And I recall that even the magistrates, came to that committee to make a submission that magistrates in Nigeria should be regarded as judicial officers, as part of their own suggestion to the amendment. So by the time we are done, I believe that a working document that addresses the issues militating against the country will be seen as a brand new document, not necessarily going to America or to London to import a document and say this is a new constitution.
Well, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs should know that if they embark on trips that you could avoid and spend more money that you can avoid, there'll be a backlash.
No, we are no. You see, not just the.
It was a reference.
I just cited an example. We have over 136 committees in the House, and every committee is up and running.
No, I'm just setting an example of what might happen if that example comes through.
I'll give a good example.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Pardon me. But, of course, it's something we can always discuss moving forward much later.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Honorable Philip Agbese, Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Information. Business Morning on Sunrise Daily comes up now.